In this lesson, we're going to cover installing the Cloudera Quick Start Virtual Machine, or VM. We're going to discuss the purpose and the benefits of using this VM. We'll download the VM from Cloudera, we will install it locally, and then we'll validate the installation. It's important to note that this VM is used for many of the subsequent exercises. If you've gotten further along in the deck and you're asked to log into your VM, you've got to start here to install it first. On the required and suggested list, it's absolutely required that you download and install VMware Player on the PC or VMware Fusion on the Mac. We'll show you where to download, but we don't cover the installation of this itself. The VMware Player on the PC is free for eternity, but VMware Fusion on the Mac only has a 30-day trial license. If you're running VMs on the Mac, VMware Fusion is one of the best products out there. I personally use it, and I migrated from Parallels a while ago. It's highly suggested that you set aside 10 to 15 minutes total to complete this lesson. With regards to Hadoop, this VM is totally free to use. Cloudera is never going to ask you for any money for the VM. It's super fast because you're doing everything local. It requires no network connectivity, which plays into the fast part. So you could take this up on the airplane and play with Hadoop while you're on an airplane or have no access to any network. However, it's not fully representative of a real cluster. A real cluster puts the client, the master, and each of the slaves on different machines. The VM puts it all into one machine, so it might be kind of confusing about what you're looking at where. So let's go ahead and download it. We're going to go to this URL, and that should pop you over to a browser. This is the page where you would download the virtual machine, and let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to click this right here. This is a live web GUI, so it may have changed when you come back to look at it. We're going to go ahead and download the VMware package. Of course, you should read this license in depth and accept the terms. And it's going to download that virtual machine. While it's doing that, let's hop back here and take a look at our SHA-1 key that came down. And if you grab that, you might want to note here too, there's other VMs supported. KVM and VirtualBox are supported as well. So if you use one of those, you should be able to download that VM. We're only going to cover the VMware installation. So you can see that my packages are taking about 5 minutes to download. I'm going to go ahead and skip forward until all of them are downloaded. And a couple minutes later for me, it was about 5 minutes. I am right in the process of finishing the download. So there it comes. The download is done. Let's go ahead and we should always verify the SHA-SUM. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to open a window here. On the Mac, on the command line, I can run SHA-SUM and then pass it the name of the file. This is the one that it downloaded for me. Quick Start VMware 7Z, and make sure that this matches, starts with a D1E and ends with a 639. There it is, D1E 639. Okay, so our package is good. On the Mac, I can go ahead and open this with a package called Unarchiver. I'm not sure which you would use on the PC, but you can open this with Unarchiver, and it will unarchive everything. And we're going to go ahead and extract to the same folder. In my case, the desktop. It might take a couple minutes for that. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this process. You might want to pause your video while your unarchive is happening as well. And a few minutes later, my unarchive is wrapping up here. And there we go. Let's go ahead and CD into that folder. And let's open this folder. And you should see something similar to what I have here. You might see fewer files. Again, this installation covers the VMware install. There's also VirtualBox and KVM installs, which you would need to follow separate instructions for that. So let's go ahead and open this VMX file, and let's go ahead and push play. You might see a warning here to upgrade, and if you see that, go ahead and do upgrade. And it's going to take a couple minutes to spin up here. You're going to see other files pop in your folder. Another thing, while this is installing, you may want to actually go back and install VMware. If you did not get a chance to install VMware yet, you would go to www.vmware.com and you can go to downloads. And because I'm on the Mac, it sees that I have Fusion right there, so I can install Fusion. And if you're on the PC, you will probably see a slightly different option, but you can go ahead and click that option to install. It should say something like VMware Player on the PC, and then you would just install it and you'd be ready to double click back on your VM once it's downloaded. That is the VMware install, and it looks like our virtual machine has installed here. Let me go ahead and resize this, and you should see something close to this. We get a nice little splash screen telling us everything is up and running. We've got a browser that popped up here, and let's go ahead and pop open a terminal. In here, we're going to download all of our code and all of our data. that we need. Let's hop back to our browser. Let's pop open this tab, s3.amazonaws.com/learn Hadoop/for-node-cluster-setup-script. I know that's a lot of stuff, but we're going to install some code and data in here. Now, this is the install script for Cloudera Manager, but we're going to actually pull some of the code down the same as we do on Cloudera Manager. So let's go ahead and grab this video 3 part. We're going to run everything from this point forward. The cd /. You're going to go in here and paste with Control-Shift-V inside the VM. That's going to take some getting used to. And let's actually put these things sort of next to each other because we're going to copy and paste things from one to the other. So let's actually resize our windows a bit. We actually have code and data inside of here, so let's go ahead and grab this next with the sudo wget. We're going to pull down all of the code and all the data, and let's Control-Shift-Paste that back over here and give it a couple minutes to come down. And while that is coming down, let's queue up our next command right here. A couple things while this is coming down. You can always grab a new terminal from this little window right here if I needed to open a second terminal, and we actually will in some exercises. And if you ever need to grab a browser, you can hit the browser right there. And let's actually do that while this code and data is downloading. Resize our window up a little bit. And we actually need to restart the daemons on our VM. So we're actually going to go into Cloudera Manager for the first time and give it a couple seconds to start up here. Resize this window so we can check the progress of our download as well. And we'll proceed on whichever one comes first here. Looks like Cloudera Manager finished first. So the login for this is Cloudera and Cloudera. Username and password are both Cloudera. You can try this, remember me on this computer. I've had mixed success with that. Sometimes it remembers me, sometimes it doesn't. So inside of here, let's go ahead and start all of our services. I'm going to go into all services. And it says everything is stopped. Actually, it looks like HDFS, Hive, and the other one we need up is MapReduce. Those are actually running already. Just the process of starting Cloudera Manager kicks those off. So let's go back into our terminal and grab our untar command. And again, you have to copy it out of here and then Control-Shift-V to paste it back over here. So this is going to unarchive it. And you can see we created this directory code and data. Cloudera already creates our user Cloudera directory that we need in HDFS. And let's just verify that with Hadoop fs-ls/user/Cloudera. This is the command to interact with HDFS, Hadoop FS, and we're running it as the Cloudera user. We see that there's nothing in there at this point, so let's cd into code and data and the data directory inside of here. And let's take a quick look with an ls-la command of what we have inside of here. And you see we have the world, the Shakespeare, the GSOD. We have several data sets that we use in subsequent exercises. Let's go ahead and put the Shakespeare data set up in HDFS with a Hadoop fs-put and Shakespeare. And that should put everything up into HDFS from the Shakespeare directory. Again, this is testing that our VM actually is putting data up in there. So let's go ahead and run a Hadoop fs-ls and check to see if the Shakespeare directory made it up into HDFS. Again, this is checking the virtual directory in HDFS. And we see, sure enough, HDFS has all that data inside of there. So we verified that the Hadoop fs command works, and that's testing HDFS. Now let's go ahead and check to make sure that our MapReduce side of things works. And let's copy out this Hadoop jar command. This is going to run a Hadoop job. So this is testing the MapReduce side of things. Let's actually change this directory to Shakespeare, and let's go ahead and run that. You might want to double check. Some versions of Cloudera have put the directory for this Hadoop examples jar in another directory. Verify this directory right here. If you get an error with this command, you just need to find out where that Hadoop examples jar command lives. Looks like ours is running good. And while that is running, let's go ahead and hop over to the web GUIs, and let's go to localhost:5070, and we're going to check HDFS out. And we see that we get everything up here. It looks like our cluster is running. We've got one live node, which we'd expect. Let's go ahead and browse the file system. Make sure our HDFS Shakespeare directory is up in there from this view as well. And we go into /user/Cloudera, and we see, sure enough, there's the Shakespeare. And we also see, if we go back one page, we can see that our word count output is coming out as well. Let's actually go ahead and click in there and see what's coming out of there. We see that there's a logs directory and a temporary directory. And it looks like the word count program is just about wrapping up. So let's actually open another tab here, and let's go to localhost :50030. And this is our job tracker interface. And here we can see if our job successfully ran. And if you're used to using Hadoop, you would recognize this as a successful completion. So it looks like we got 100% through our map and our reduce, and then it does a sort of dump of all the information that it spit out from there. And sure enough, we can go in here. Let's go ahead and refresh this page. And we see that we have a completed job, and it looks like everything completed. 100% maps, 100% reduces, and it worked. So we verified that our VM downloaded and that we were able to go in and work with the VM. So in this exercise, we downloaded the Cloudera Quick Start virtual machine, we installed the VM into VMware, and we validated the installation. Again, you'll be using this VM for many subsequent exercises.